UFC Fight Night Blaydes versus Volkov. What did you think about this card as a whole?
Eh.
It was kinda. It was good.
Eh.
It was good, but it could have been better. I
it,
feel
it was
like.
fine.
I
I
feel
mean,
like.
Josh Emmett and Shane Burgos
It,
definitely the fight of the
yeah,
night. I mean, like without a doubt. The main event was fine, I guess.
that was the greatest thing I've ever seen. I watching that main event. I was literally glued to my seat, just staring at the screen. I couldn't take my eyes off it. There was so much action. Curtis
I bet
Blaydes
I
landed
feel like
so
you're
many
being
strikes.
sarcastic,
I,
Matthew.
th- I just I find wrestling interesting, but there comes a time when there's wrestling and then there's laying on top of your opponent. And
Yes.
while he did land a lot of
Yes.
strikes, he was in control pretty much the entire fight. And he only landed like 120 something strikes, which is a lot, but if you have control for 25 minutes, you should have more than that, I feel. I don't know. Maybe I'm
Here's
just
the
being a
thing
little
too.
casual. I don't know.
Yeah, you're a filthy
I
casual,
really
just
am.
bleed, Chad. But here's the thing though. Whenever they were on the feet, Blades looked good. His striking looked real good. Like he was fucking him up on the feet as well as the ground. Um, yeah, the wrestling it was good. Like it was dominant wrestling. He said himself that was going to be the story of the fight. He literally tweeted before the fight and was like, "Hey, if you're all expecting like a firefight, don't tune in." He literally told people that. Um, Weird promotion there, but okay.
Hey, at least he's being
I,
honest. You don't see
yeah,
that
I mean,
transparency out of a lot of fighters, you know?
yeah, yeah. That's one way to look at it, I suppose. He looked good. He did. It was a great dominant performance. Don't get me wrong, but like you said, there is a difference between wrestling and then laying on your opponent. Like what Khabib does is much different than what Curtis Blades did last night. Now, granted, if you're Alexander Volkov, that's your fault that you're ending up there. Like Blades isn't doing anything wrong per se. Like he's winning the fight fair and square. He's just not doing it in necessarily the most entertaining fashion, but he is winning, and it's up to the opponent to stop that. And uh, yeah.
I
Did you hear
watched.
my brain
Yes,
just fall out of
dude,
my
that
fucking
happens to
head
me
there?
all the time, dude. What
Yeah,
when I
that was
saw
great.
Volkov fight Fabricio Verdum, I was horrified for this fight because I don't know if anyone has seen it, but Fabricio Verdum just he didn't even go for takedowns. He just kind of like grabbed him and yeeted him onto the ground. It was really sloppy takedown work, and every single time Volkov just got at will taken down. And Fabricio Verdum, he hasn't looked very good since USADA came around and took away his happy pills. And I mean, he was pretty dominant at one point, but I think that
Yeah,
there was definitely a time where he started degrading, and I think that was when USADA came in, if I'm remembering correctly. But dude,
yeah, happened
Fabricio,
to a lot of
yeah,
people.
not looking good. So when you see a Fabricio just take down Volkov like that at will multiple times, you kind of get worried for Curtis Blades. I mean, this guy's so much better than Fabricio. And he has striking. Fabricio doesn't know striking's a thing. That just came out. He just found that out the other day. Someone was talking to him. He was like, I can throw punches in here? He had no idea. So it's crazy that I know the odds were obviously in Curtis Blades' favor, but I feel like I was pretty dead set on Curtis winning. And there was one guy on Reddit that said, "Y'all sleeping on Volkov," and I want to go back and I just want to like that post. I want to give that an upvote because I appreciate that.
Oh man.
That guy was probably watching the fight, just so demoralized, just sitting there, just tears rolling down his eyes. Just, ooh.
You would think for Volkov's size, he'd be a little better at stopping those takedowns. But part of me feels like he's so damn tall that he's like unstable, you know? He's
Yeah,
like
he just
he
sways around.
like he doesn't have like great balance or stability or it's weird, man. Like he's got these long ass legs and I feel like he's almost like he's like this really tall building that doesn't have the proper support in it underneath and it's just like yeah, his base is just I don't know. he didn't look great last night. He's a I mean, he's definitely one of the better heavyweights in the world right now, but that ain't saying a whole lot because the
Well,
heavyweight division kind of
it stopped.
it they're cutting it next week. Here's something interesting: is where does Curtis Blaydes go from here? Because in the post-fight press conference with Dana, firstly, in the post fuck me, in the post-fight press conference with Curtis, he was saying, I'm next in line. Like I have fought all these guys that are ranked below me, and I beat them. It's time for me to move up." And Dana was saying, basically, with a performance like that, you don't get to be next in line, and you lost to Francis 2 times, and it's very clear that there is no one in heavyweight right now more deserving of a title shot after the Stipe and DC trilogy fight than Francis Ngannou, right? I mean, you can't give it to anybody else. I guess if for some bizarre reason, uh, both DC and Stipe retire, then I guess you could make the trilogy or the championship fight, the vacant championship fight between Curtis Blaydes and Francis Ngannou. I don't think that'll happen. Let's say DC wins and then he retires. Well, then the belt is still vacant. Then I imagine they would do Francis and Stipe. There's no real way I see Curtis getting a title shot right now. Trust me, right after Francis, he is the next one. I firmly believe that. I think and it's simply because who the hell else? And he did make a point where he was like, I don't know who else to fight. Like, who else is there? And Dana said, well, if you're Curtis Blaydes, you should be active right now, especially after a performance like that. Like, you need to be active and not just wait around. And I I guess I understand both of them because Curtis is right. I mean, who else does he fight? I guess you could do an Overeem rematch, maybe. Um, but you have to put Francis in the next title fight. There's no other option, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's kind of stuck. He has really nowhere to go. I mean, the smart move, in my opinion, would just be to wait around. But I mean, that's not a good idea, also. And you could say like, "Oh, rematch Francis," but I don't think Francis is gonna go for that. I don't think a lot of people are gonna go for
No.
that. He lost twice in devastating fashion, and I don't think he's ready yet. I think it's surprising because it seems like a good matchup for himself. A lot of people would probably give that to him, not having seen the first two fights, because his style is just purely wrestling, and that's how you beat Ngannou. You just wrestle with them.
The
You
thing is,
clinch, boom.
I think Curtis has definitely improved a lot since he and Francis last fought. The only thing is, I think Francis has also improved a lot. I mean,
Yeah,
Francis has been saying a lot lately that he has improved in many ways, but we haven't necessarily been able to see that because he ends fights so quickly. Um, the thing is, if DC wins this trilogy fight with Stipe, I don't I don't see how Stipe doesn't also get the title shot. Like
yeah,
he
because
doesn't
DC is
get
going
a
to retire most likely, right? If he,
most
yeah.
likely, and you have to.
I
I
think
don't
I
know.
think he would want time off if he lost to DC again, because he's a busy guy. He has got a family as well. He's got a lot of money, and he seems to like to take time off.
Yeah, he
So
does.
I think he'll probably do that. I mean, you could argue that Curtis can fight Derek Lewis, but what is that really gonna? That's not really gonna say much, you know. Curtis
Yeah,
is just gonna do the same thing to Derek as he did to
do the
Volkov.
same exact thing.
Yeah, he's just
Yeah,
gonna lay on him. And man, I mean, it works, but a lot of people, like you said, were comparing him to Khabib, but Khabib is always mauling you. He doesn't lay on you. He's attacking at all
yeah.
times.
Khabib's wrestling is so much more fun to watch. It's
Yeah,
fascinating. It fascinates me how his style. It's so I'm in awe every time I see Khabib perform, and I'm not trying to discount what Curtis did last night. That's impressive in its own right. It really is. I mean, the dude. Volkov, okay, yeah, his takedown defense didn't look great, but at the end of the day, the guy is still a professional mixed martial artist that's like 6'7" or some ridiculous shit like that, and he's Russian, which automatically makes him tougher than most human beings. So to go in there and wrestle the shit out of him the way he did, I mean, impressive. Yeah, good job, Curtis Blaydes. Not that you give a shit what I think, but good job.
I think you're his only fan, so you should keep it up.
I don't know if I'd call myself a fan.
Oh, you just lost.
I don't know.
Curtis,
I don't know
buddy.
if I'd say that.
My
I
boy,
like him.
Curtis,
I like
you
him.
lost your only fan.
He seems like a good dude. My favorite Curtis Blaydes moment of all time. Not when he elbowed Alistair into oblivion. It's when he fought. What's that guy's name? Is it Justin Willis? And there was a lot of trash talk in between that fight. And Justin Willis, he's kind of got like a Roy Nelson build, and by that I mean fat.
Oh,
after
man.
the fight,
Roy Nelson's
Curtis,
listening to this right now, going, "What the hell? What's this guy talking about? I thought I was fit."
Curtis Blaydes wins the fight, and he keeps saying after the fight, he's getting his hand raised by the referee, and he's going, "Big titty, go home! Big titty, go home!" It's the funniest shit I've ever seen in a post-fight. Like, it wasn't even the post. I mean, he said it in the post-fight interview too, but it's like as Bruce Buffer is making the official, decision.
I think that might have plagued any marketing material they could have pulled from that post-fight interview. Imagine if they just that's all they've showed before the fight to promote it. I think that would be pretty effective.
Justin Willis is, I think his name is Justin Willis. I better look that up. Justin
sure, it's not Greg
Willis.
Hardy.
Big titty.
No,
that
was
Hardy.
Volkov fought Greg Hardy. My bad. Whoops.
Yeah, Justin Willis. Yeah, that's his name.
Let's not forget that I'm pretty sure Greg Hardy took down Alexander Volkov in their fight, and he landed a few strikes as well.
Dude, Greg Hardy, he won that fight, right?
No. He lost every round, but it was sort of competitive.
Bro, I don't remember. These heavyweight fights, to me, are like a fever dream. I can't remember so many. I can remember in great detail the two Stipe and DC fights, and Stipe and Francis. Everything else is like such a fucking blur to me.
Dude, it's crazy.
Because heavyweight is...
It's so inconsistent and just wild,
And I remember in great detail Alistair and Walt Harris. That was a really good fight.
Heavyweight is literally the Wild West. You know what I mean? You're gonna see Dutch Vanderlyn in there. He's getting ready.
I mean, is that a compliment? Like, is calling it the Wild West?
I don't know, because you look at something like lightweight and you're like, all right, there's order here, there's patterns. We know what's going on, and then you look at heavyweight and it's just a bunch of Play-Doh thrown against the wall, and you're like, this is weird.
It does. I guess I hear what you mean about the Wild West. Like, it's got like this. It's romanticized in a lot of way. The cool cowboys and gunslingers and outlaws, and that's what heavyweight is on the surface. But then you look a little deper and like
it's just fat guys
everyone's really
punches.
dirty. There's a lot of disease and famine. It's not actually that fun. Like like the Wild West is cool in like movies and video games, but then you think about actually living through it and you're like, oh, that must have been terrible. Everyone's fucking illiterate. Like, it's just everyone's racist and fucking killing each other. That'd be a terrible time to be alive. Nobody's got teeth. Like, yeah, it had to suck. That's kind of what heavyweight is right now. It's like you think about it and you're like, oh, they're big guys and they knock each other out really easily. Wow, that must be awesome. Nope.
Then you just cut to the fight last night where it's just Volkov getting just pounded
it's
by
just guys laying on each other. It's like
he's just giving him a hug.
Big greasy men just hugging each other a lot. Nah,
I honestly think that
I'm exaggerating.
Blaydes should fight someone like Amanda Nunes next. Just really show his prowess.
Dude, I think Amanda Nunes would fuck him up. So, well, actually, no. I mean, Curtis is so much bigger than her.
I just don't know what to do with him.
Ragdoll her.
He's like this Dana White's probably thinking the same thing. Like, what do we do with this guy? Just gotta like his best option is just sit around. But he can't do that. It kind of sucks,
Just see what happens.
You said
heavyweight.
Dana White didn't like his performance at all.
He wasn't like bashing him like hardcore. He just, I don't think he likes Curtis as a person. He said last night he has the wrong attitude about things. And by that, I'm sure he means he's not a yes man, because Dana likes yes men. Um, he wasn't like eviscerating him, but he was just like, yeah, I mean, he did a good job, but basically, don't expect any fucking favors from me. Don't expect any 50K bonuses. Don't expect a title shot. Yeah,
How
that was
tired
basic.
did Blaydes look after the third
Oh
round?
my
I'm pretty sure
god.
Volkov took him down the one time.
Oh
Remember that?
my god.
Wow.
Dude, the post-fight interview. It's hilarious. I didn't know what was I was like, is he okay? Like
He's just
what
gonna
is happening
collapse at
to him?
any moment.
Dude, he did not seem well. He
No.
seemed really bad. He seemed a little. I mean, in his defense, he was talking pretty bad, but that's just because his lip got busted open pretty gruesomely. He had stitches in the post fight press conference on his lower lip, so he wasn't speaking super well. But oh man, he was done. He was done after that, and he acknowledged it. He was basically saying, "I got to work on my cardio and all that." So hey, everyone's got room for improvement. Look at Francis. Francis has improved tremendously. We'll see how much that pays off. But oh, something I wanted to say. Could you imagine if DC and Stipe ends in like a controversial matter, like it's a split decision, or I don't know, it gets stopped from like an eye poke or some shit. Like, yeah, I'm just saying, like, could you imagine if something happens that clogs up this division even
Even
more?
more. Oh no. Don't say that. You're gonna curse it.
Especially
I
because DC got them sneaky
Yeah, I was
fingers,
gonna
you know?
say he's kind of a dirty fighter, so I could see it
He's
like
like
an
a
eye poke.
raccoon.
Yeah.
He's like a fucking
He was
raccoon. Stipe's
attacking.
eyes.
Yeah, he was attacking Stipe's eyes the both fights, honestly. So I mean, I could see like Stipe just saying, "You know what? I'm not gonna let you get away with this. I'm done," and then like having a no contest. Because I mean, that's the eye pokes are an extreme disadvantage. If you get your eye poked like that, that's gonna switch your entire mentality. Every time you see those fingers, your brain is like, nope, 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 close your eyes, flinch, nope, get
Mm-hmm.
away. It's just, oh man, I love
Yo,
DC, but his fingers,
speaking of
man, oh, like sausages just ramming into your eyeballs. What were you saying?
Speaking of dirty shots, Raquel Pennington took a mean groin strike
Yes, I
last night.
saw that.
She let out like a Andre Arlovsky scream after it happened. She was like, "Ah!"
He's even
I was
it
like,
was a
"Oh
deeper
shit!"
voice, even louder than Andre. I was surprised.
Hey, Team Rocky, Team Tisha. What the fuck do they call them? Team
Team Beta Male.
Rock
Oh, they're not
Rock
males, silly me. What am I talking
Rocknado.
about?
I think that's it because Tisha is the tiny tornado, and I think they call them Team
She's
Rocknado.
only
Hey, they both got wins last
yeah.
night. Raquel Pennington squeaked out a nice decision over Marion Renault, I think that was her name. And Tisha Torres put on some great kickboxing against what's her face Van Buren. Can't
She's
remember her
I,
first name.
it's something weird. I
I bet it's not. I bet it's just worth failing to remember. Her last name's Van Buren. That's what's important.
I'm sorry.
Um,
It's Brianna. It's not weird at all. Brianna Van Buren. She defeated.
yeah.
Yeah, that was a good fight.
Tisha looked good. Yeah, her kickboxing was on point.
That
Right,
was
she was throwing some
yeah.
crazy kicks.
That was a strange fight to watch, just based on the height of both of them. I believe Tisha's 5'1" and Van Buren was only
Yeah,
5 foot tall, I believe.
yeah,
And it's
yeah.
just weird seeing the two shortest
I
people in
think
the
it was
UFC going at it.
the first time Tisha fought somebody shorter than her. First time in her career. I feel like I remember the commentators saying that last night.
I'd like to see like Brianna Van Buren standing next to Volkov. Just see the difference there. It's crazy. It's
She probably goes up to like his belly button.
that dude.
He
Like
big.
you were saying,
Dude,
he's tall, but I don't think he utilizes his length very well. He's a lot like the skyscraper Stefan Struve. He's kind of just like this big
yeah.
oaf that just wanders around the octagon. I
I
don't know.
wonder if that height becomes a disadvantage at some point, like extreme height, you know?
I've been told by some MMA fighters in real life that being that tall does have a disadvantage because as soon as you get in someone's pocket, you're automatically at a disadvantage strength wise and power wise stuff because you need the space. It's not a matter of using the space, it's
Right.
like you need the space.
What MMA fighters do you know?
Oh, it's Brad Turry. The
Oh,
myth, the
Brad
legend.
Terry, yeah.
He would always talk about beating up my tall friend named
That's
Steve.
that's convenient coming from a very short guy.
Yeah, because he would say like he loves fighting short people because he would just get in on them and they would throw punches and there's no power because you
You
need
mean
to.
tall people?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, when he would fight tall people, he would basically just say that as soon as he gets in on them, they have no chance at all. And if you
Mm,
just keep on them, keep pressuring them, it turns an advantage into a disadvantage. Now
that makes
I don't
sense.
know how true that is at a professional level because he was
I mean,
amateur, but
yeah,
I suppose it has some sense to it.
it does sound true because you could turn it into like phone booth fighting, and that could definitely
Yeah.
help somebody that's a little more like compact. Look at someone like Henry Cejudo. He's great with getting real close and just turning it like he's very scrappy in that way. Another, shorter guy. I think a lot of short guys are good at that. They get in real close and they generate a lot of power that way. Whereas, yeah, if you're really tall, you need that space to generate any kind of real force.
Yeah, and if you're
Yeah,
like
there are
John
a lot of
Jones, boom, you
yeah,
could use it.
yeah. John Jones is definitely one of those tall guys that uses it incredibly well. But now that I'm thinking about it, there are a lot of really tall dudes that it seems like it's a hindrance more than anything.
It's like if you don't know how to use it, then yeah, it is a hindrance. But you'd
Yeah.
think at that level that they would know how to use it. Maybe there just becomes a point where if you're fighting someone who knows how to take advantage of it, there's not much you can do because you can only back up so much, you know, before you
Yeah,
just
and I
start.
mean Curtis Blaydes is the antithesis of, you
Yes,
know,
he's
range
he's fantastic
fighting.
at just getting in and
He's
not letting
gets
you.
in, gets you down.
Yeah.
But I think a more exciting fight to talk about from last night was the co-main, Josh Emmett and Shane Burgos. Oh boy, featherweight just got a lot more interesting, if you ask me.
I was so surprised that we didn't see either of them get knocked down, especially
Yeah.
Shane
No,
Burgos.
Shane
He took
Burgos,
some.
I feel like he got
He got
knocked
knocked down
down.
once, I think, in the third.
Yeah,
That might have
something
been
like,
it. I'm surprised that like Emmett was smashing him with
oh
sledgehammers.
my God.
Oh
They
my
were
lord.
monstrous shots.
And Burgos was doing a fantastic job at just countering, throwing punches, keeping the pressure on. But in the end, I mean, Emmett was just throwing with really bad intentions, a lot harder, and he was landing a lot more. So
Yeah,
it was
man,
just
Emmett
a
looked
yeah, it
good.
was a
And
classic.
after the fight, he was saying like, "Hey, I want to push after this. Like, I want to push from the UFC. I want a little more recognition." And he absolutely deserves it because featherweight, it's a little bare right now, a little bit. Like it's got it, some real contenders in it, like Calvin Kattar, like Zabit. Um, but I mean, what fight are you really looking forward to at featherweight besides Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway?
Oh, who is Zabit fighting?
I forget.
It's a really good fight. Someone who will handle his pressure well.
Let's
Ah, I
see.
can't remember his name. He's Zabit's been known to fade very very hard in the third
Yeah.
round, and this is a person who will not fade in the third round. But their name is escaping me.
He last fought Calvin Kattar and won, but I still think God damn it, I can't
Well, either way, I mean, featherweight it's interesting, but
Oh,
it's not
Yair
like oh
Rodriguez.
yes, Yair.
Yeah, that's a
That's
terrific fight.
fantastic. It's got
You know,
it's got its names to it, but this makes it a lot more interesting because there's a dangerous man out there. He's bald, he's got no hair, and he's coming for you. And he might just make something out of himself here. I'm really
you know what
interested to see
fight
where he goes.
I really want to see?
Ah,
Hang on, let me see if he has any upcoming fights before I
who is it?
say this. I want to see. Oh, yeah. Okay. I was going to say, I want to see the Korean Zombie take on Josh Emmett, but he is set to fight Brian Ortega.
That's a bad matchup for Brian. That's like I mean, Brian's no slouch, but Korean Zombie. I mean, you saw what Max Holloway did to him with
Yeah,
that
I was just
volume.
gonna say that.
He's a
Yeah,
volume striker, a lot like Max
yeah.
Zombie is. What's his
I would
name? It's
love
San Tu. What is his name? Minsu Kim or something? No.
who? What are you
Korean
talking about?
Zombie's actual name.
Oh, I don't
It's
actually
something
know.
I'm
Is
probably
it?
butchering it because
Oh,
they
shit.
don't call him that name. They just go by the Korean Zombie.
I
But
Chang Sung Chan
Chung
Sung
Sung Young or something.
no
Chang
Chan Sung Young.
Chan Sung Young. Yes.
Yeah,
Oh
Korean
man,
Zombie.
I don't think Ortega's gonna have a fun time there. He's probably just gonna have to throw those
Yeah,
Minari rolls in there.
that's a really tough fight for
He's
Ortega.
definitely got
Right?
the advantage on the ground, but I don't know if
Yeah, I mean Ortega
Ortega.
might have the best jiu-jitsu in the UFC, maybe. But oh damn, it can only take you so far. I really believe that because every fight starts on the feet, and unless you have some mean takedowns like Khabib, which I don't know if Brian Ortega does, uh, you better be ready to scrap, especially with somebody like the Korean Zombie.
Let's not forget he is one of the only fighters to land a twister, I believe, in the UFC. Like he's no slouch on the ground either. I think
Wait, who?
I believe the Korean Zombie. There's two
Oh
twisters
shit!
in the UFC. I think one just happened recently. I'm not sure
Yeah, Thug
where.
Nasty.
Yes, Thug Nasty. No, not Thug Nasty Rose. Anyway,
Thug Nasty
Thug.
Rose.
That's right.
Bryce Mitchell.
Bryce Mitchell.
That's That's his name.
The Korean Zombie landed one early on in the UFC. He was the first person to do it, and I mean I mean
Nice.
that takes some elite level skill there. So
Yeah.
Ortega might be in for a little knuckle sandwich. I don't know.
Yeah,
I worry for him.
I think Korean Zombie is one of your most dangerous contenders at featherweight.
It's like Dana White just hates Brian Ortega. He's just giving them these high volume strikers.
I still stand by that. I would love to see Josh Emmett fight Brian Ortega, and then maybe the winner take on the champ, whoever that is at that time, whether it's Max or Alexander Volkanovski.
Now,
Love to see that.
am I correct saying Josh Emmett lost to Jeremy Stevens a little while back?
Believe so. Yeah.
I heard a lot of people calling for a rematch, and I think that's a great idea. They're very similar fighters, and I think Josh Emmett has surpassed Jeremy skill wise. So I
think so too.
I think he can. I mean, I think Jeremy's been on a losing streak, if I'm correct.
Yeah, Jeremy's had a few.
Yeah, and Josh
few
is
rough
the
outings
opposite.
recently.
He's only been winning. So I mean, you're seeing this fall, and you're seeing a rise, and I'd like to see it again.
That was back in 2018 when
Okay.
Jeremy Stevens beat him. Then in 2019, Josh Emmett beat both Mirsad Bektik and Michael Johnson, and now in 2020, Shane Burgos. So
Michael
he's
Johnson,
on a 3-fight.
That's a tough fight.
So he's on a 3-fight win streak, man. I'd love to see him maybe do one because the guy's 35 years old. You know, not getting any younger. I would love to see. With that being said, it seems like he's really coming into his own and coming into his prime. But I would love to see maybe one more and then a title shot for him. I think if he can get past. Let me look at the featherweight rankings right now. Let's see who.
Oh, Jeremy Stevens is actually below Josh Emmett. He's number 8 now, and Jeremy's number 9. So maybe it doesn't make sense for Josh, who's on a winning streak, to fight someone lower than him that's on a losing streak. Oh man.
Yeah, I would love to see him take on anyone above him in the rankings. Calvin Kattar.
Everybody's taken.
Korean Zombie.
He might have to fight someone lower than him.
Dude, it's surprising that Brian Ortega is at number 2. That's a strange.
He really did a number on Frankie Edgar, and then he just kept going, just rose right to the top.
Yeah, I mean,
he knocked out Frankie Edgar, didn't he? So he's got.
I don't remember. It says he's on a 6-fight win streak. What?
Brian?
Yeah. That can't be true.
He just lost horribly to Max Holloway. Max was showing him how to punch in the fight.
Yeah, his most recent fight. So he hasn't fought since the Max fight. Yeah. Get the fuck out of here, UFC.com. You don't know what you're talking
Lies.
about. I mean, prior to that loss, yeah, it seems like he was on a he was on a pretty hefty win streak. But I mean, yeah, I mean these are impressive victories. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, he did. He got a a knockout win over Frankie, round one. Mm, I don't
He's in
know.
a tough
Featherweight,
spot. Yeah, everyone
yeah,
and featherweight's really booked up. You know.
it is. Yeah, and I'm so excited for that Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway rematch. That shit is gonna be fun on Fight Island, baby.
In the desert,
Oh boy,
no
is
palm
that next
trees.
weekend? Is that this coming weekend?
Yeah,
Oh shit,
my boy.
dude,
It is next weekend. That's
dude.
not confirmed. I don't know.
No,
I've been seeing June. It's in June, and yeah, so it's like June 27th, I think. There's a good co-main as well. I can't remember what
Oh
it
wait,
is.
we got one more, and we got one more Apex event until
Oh, really?
UFC 251. UFC 251 is the first Fight Island one. So this coming Saturday, we have oh lordy, Dustin Poirier and Dan
Oh,
Hooker.
that's
Oh
okay.
my God, dear lordy, that is such a good lightweight fight. Oh, I'm so excited for that. And then a really fun co-main, Mike Perry and Mickey Gall.
Oh,
I
Mike
really
Perry's
dislike
been
both
talking
guys.
so much shit lately on Mickey
Yeah, I
Gall.
really don't like either of them, so
You don't
that'll be
like
fun to
Mike
watch.
Perry? I
No,
love the
I don't.
chemistry he has with Darren Till. I love it.
I enjoy watching him fight. That's about it.
His
Um,
personality, not the greatest.
yeah, I don't like him. He doesn't strike me as a good
But
guy
here's the
at
thing.
all.
Here's the thing. He's so much more interesting than your average UFC fighter. You
That's
know what I mean?
true, I
Like if you
suppose.
look at
But
Josh Emmett, you're like, oh, who's this bald dude? Oh, he knocks people out, but he doesn't have a personality. He doesn't show it. But Mike Perry just goes out there with his like 6 IQ and he just makes a name for himself. It's great.
and yeah, and you know how you make that name for yourself? You be a white guy that insists you're black
And then
and
you
could
date a
freely use the
6-year-old.
N-word. That's
Hey, he's
yeah.
2% black on a DNA test. Okay, so that's a 2% pass right there.
Yeah, and leave your wife for a woman that is half your age. That's
He
really
seems
good stuff.
depressed lately. I feel like that took a toll on him.
He doesn't seem all there
No.
mentally. He does not seem all there. Um, oh,
Maybe
she's not half his age. He's 28. I thought he was way older than that. He doesn't look 28.
he looks aged.
He's the dude at school and in high school that you think was supposed to graduate 3 years ago, but like he still hangs out and like smokes cigarettes in the during recess and stuff.
So he's an absolute legend. Is that what you're saying?
He goes to the football games like already high, and everyone's just like, "Who is this guy?
Get
Why
this
is
man
he
out of
here?"
here.
He's friends with like dudes that graduated college. Why is he here? And he dates a girl that's like a
He
freshman.
dates. Yeah, I was gonna say he dates the freshmen.
He dates a freshman cheerleader. Yeah, he's a I don't know. I think he's a scummy dude.
He had
To
a
be
really good
honest.
elbow against
I don't
Matt
like him.
Brown, and that was just. I knew he was the one after that.
Yeah, dude.
That was a
I mean,
nice. He's a good fighter.
he's incredibly skilled. I'll give him that, and he's very fun to watch, very
Physically,
entertaining. Yeah,
not incredibly skilled
physically.
mentally.
Yeah. He doesn't seem all there.
I like his reaction to like the Darren Till like making a website about him being a bum and stuff. He just doesn't acknowledge it. It's like he doesn't even know it's there because he can't read or something. I don't know. It's so funny.
He's the Wild West. That's a
Darren, I
Wild West
love him
fighter.
because he's so honest about his insecurities and his fear with fighting, and then he just goes on and does this stuff too, and it's just like you're such a well-rounded dude.
Yeah, Darren has become very entertaining, and I mean he was always entertaining, but he was a heel. Now he's become more of like a goofball, which is fun. You know,
Yeah,
he's a troll.
and he's
I
a
like
good
that.
troll.
Yeah, I honestly he reminds me a bit of Colby, but like more genuine. You know, like Colby is very much like a mascot. You know,
You kind
he
of know it's a
knows he's a
front, yeah.
yeah, he's very aware of what he's doing. You know, it's like all just it's a dumb joke. Um, but yeah, next week card looking great. I
That's
hope
pretty
it's
solid.
a bit more fun than the last two.
You don't like
Hey,
watching
they were
Curtis Blaydes lay on top of Russian people? What's wrong with you, bro? You're not a true fight
hey
fan.
like I said, impressive wrestling. But I like scrambles a lot. I love watching
Yes.
scrambling. I love
Yes.
watching little guys like I shouldn't call them little guys. Smaller fighters scramble around and do some fun grappling, like you see with Joe Benavidez, Henry Cejudo, Ray Borg. Um, who else? Who else
Benavidez is
is?
fighting Figueiredo again, right?
Oh my
For the belt.
God! I hope he beats him. I
Oh,
hope he beats
that
him
was a
so
close
bad.
one, dude.
I desperately hold for the Sons of Anarchy outside. I desperately want to see Joe Benavidez as flyweight champ. Who else? Who else? Tell me, Dana. Who else?
Don't worry.
Davison Figueiredo, who doesn't
Conor
make weight
McGregor's
for
gonna
title
he's gonna
fights.
drop down to 135. He's gonna steal that belt.
Jose's gonna do it.
Oh yeah, dude.
Jose can make any weight. he'll
Oh
he'll
wait,
kill
that's
himself in the
for
process.
some reason I thought Jose was at Figueiredo was at 135, but no, Jose's fighting for the title with Peter Yan on the one. Because we have a lot of new stuff going on here, a lot of new title changes. I like that. It's keeping it nice and
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, a lot of title fights coming up.
But I think that back to this card, I think that especially because of how disliked the main event was, I think Josh Emmett is just gonna be basically the highlight of that whole event. I mean, he won fight of the night and everything, and most people are gonna
Yeah,
remember him. That was his fight night,
yeah.
and he's becoming much more popular, and he deserves it.
I don't think like the overall sentiment after the fight was like, "Oh my God, this was awful." The main event I'm talking about was like, "Oh my God, this is terrible." Like Francis Ngannou, Derek Lewis level terrible. It wasn't. It wasn't that, but no, I don't think anybody walked away from it like, "Whoa."
I mean, if I paid for that, if that was like a pay per view, I'd be kind of pissed
Yeah,
because
but it
not
wasn't.
much
You
happened.
know?
It was free, yeah. I mean, it was an
Yeah.
interesting matchup. We got to learn some nice info about both fighters, and that's it.
And I think the main info you learned was, uh, this is gonna sound harsh, but I don't think either of them are gonna be heavyweight champ
I don't think
in a
so.
bit. It's going to be a bit. I think Curtis Blaydes has great potential, great championship potential. I really do. If you look at the Overeem fight, tell me that guy's not a future champ. Um, but he's got work to do, and I think other contenders are going to give him much more of a challenge. Not saying he wasn't challenged at all last night. His cardio was definitely challenged, but that's because he was just spamming takedowns. He was spamming the right stick over and over and over, just going for takedown after takedown. Like that is incredibly taxing on both guys. But you know, um, yeah, but we'll see with Curtis. He's got some time. He's got some room to improve, room to grow. He's definitely one of the biggest threats at heavyweight, but I don't think he's ready for that title shot just yet. I think it'll be a different story if we see after we see Francis fight for it, because I have to imagine that that's next. Um, I think if we see Francis as a champion, then you're gonna see Curtis for a title shot. Now, if Francis loses his title fight, then you really might see Curtis get that title shot
Yeah,
against I'm assuming Stipe or DC. I don't.
that's
Who
a
knows
toss up
who
right
knows
there.
if
I don't know who's gonna win
DC is
there.
going to be around anymore. I think he's pretty much done. And I don't blame him. He doesn't want to go fight these crazy ass heavyweights. Who could blame him? He wants the Stipe fight because it's probably eating at him. That they went 1-for-1, and that's just a great rivalry that you have to finish out. But other than that, I mean, what else is there for DC to prove? It's kind of the way I feel about Amanda right now, where it's like she's thinking about retiring, and I'm like, yeah, why the hell not? Like, you might as well,
I think she
you
was
know?
saying that she was gonna retire. She was basically like, I don't really have much left to do. I think I'm just gonna,
Yeah,
I think I'm
and
gonna head out.
I feel the same way about Daniel Cormier, win or lose this upcoming Stipe fight. Whether he wins or he loses, I'm like, what else is there for you, man? Like
John
you
Jones at heavyweight. Boom.
get the fuck out of
He's
here.
still the title holder on the UFC website, so I guess he's still in the
Yeah,
UFC. I don't know what's going on
yeah,
there.
I guess so. Because Henry, they took off right away. Like
Yeah.
Henry, it was like definite. Like he's done. He retired 100%. Um, And now I think he is going to wait around until they say, hey, we either strip you or you fight. And he's going to say, well, pay me this, and then I'll fight. And whether or not they say yes or no is going to determine whether or not he's in the UFC. I think Jorge is in the same boat right now. Jorge is going to wait around. They're going to say, hey, you either fight or you don't. And he's going to say, okay, I'll fight as long as you pay me X amount. UFC, ball's in their court then. Whether or not they pay him, I really don't know. They do not like being leveraged. And this whole fighter pay issue, it's thus far, it's the kind of conversation that's good to have. I think it's good that this is happening with John, with Jorge, even with Henry to some extent. Even though his seemed less about pay and more about him wanting to pursue a life outside of fighting. This is a conversation that's good to have because ultimately, why would you not want to see fighters get paid more? Like, what reason could you and I possibly have to say, no, they don't deserve more money? Like, company man. I mean, why? Why would I not want to see John Jones make a lot of money? I have no reason to say that. But the UFC, it's up to them whether or not they want to pay that. And while this conversation is good to have about fighter pay, I don't think it's ultimately going to make a huge difference in the end. I don't think it's going to help them, especially with Jorge, because I get the impression from what Dana's comments around this and just his overall attitude, I get the impression that they think, John and Jorge, if we sit out, they're just going to have to give in to our demands and pay us. But I get the impression that the UFC is going to say, fuck you then. You don't want to fight? You don't want to fight. That's a you problem. That's the impression I'm getting. So while these conversations are good to have, I as much as I want it to pay off, because like I said, what reason could I have for not wanting to see fighters be paid more? They should be. They just should be. I mean, simple as that. They should get more revenue, more of the overall revenue that they help generate. I just don't know if this is necessarily the way to go about it, if it'll actually make a difference, but we'll see.
Speaking of controversial things happening in the UFC, we had some spicy stuff last night with my man Max Roskov. I think I'm saying your name right, and Roshkov. He's some Polish guy. I don't know.
I don't know if that's true.
No, he's probably not Polish.
I think he's American.
Yeah, but he's got some Polish heritage.
Yeah, he probably has Polish heritage.
You could tell by the face. He just wants you to invade him. Anyway. Now, there was a very polarizing moment that happened. I think it was the end of the second round, in between rounds. And when I first watched this, it went to commercial break. The fight was on. They were both in their corners. Commercial break. You come back, and was it Mark Smith?
Mark Smith.
Mark Smith. He was just waving off the fight, and I was like, something happened here in between rounds that they just weren't showing us, and I'm glad they did. They let us hear what the corner was saying and what he was saying in between rounds, and it was basically just like, I'm done. Like I got no more energy. I've got no more fight in me. There's no reason to have a third round and take damage. Let's just call it. I'm done. And the coach is like, no, you must fight for your legacy.
Robert Drysdale.
Yeah, Robert Drysdale. Yeah, and he was basically just really pressuring him to go out there. And you could tell, like, Roshkov was just getting kind of annoyed with him. He's just like, no, I'm done. Like, I know when I'm done, and I'm done. And he wasn't taking it he wasn't taking him seriously. And then you saw him get up and he told the ref, I'm not fighting, and then he called it off. It sparked some controversy and was polarizing, because is that the right move on his part to stop fighting there and to admit that he's got basically no chance of winning the fight, so why is he going to go out and get beat up for 5 minutes? And a lot of people didn't like that, but I think it was the right move. I mean, what's the point? You're not going to win. Just cut your losses. You're a fresh fighter. It's your first fight in the UFC, right?
Yeah.
And why?
It was a late notice fight, too.
Yeah. I mean, we had on 10 days notice. You tried. It didn't work out. That's fine. You move on. You don't have to stick with it. No one expects you to to go out there and just get battered for no reason. I mean, you saw him at the end of the second round; he was pretty much done. So I
Yeah.
mean, what did you think about it? I don't know.
Oh.
It's polarizing.
Oh man.
You're about to
I have
blast them.
I am. I really am. I have expressed my feelings about this kind of thing numerous times already on this podcast. How long have we been doing this podcast, Matt? Not super long.
Couple
We haven't
months.
been doing it it's a couple months, if that. Um, and we have had this conversation 3 times. This is the third time. We've had it first about Anthony Smith and his corner. Then we had it a little bit about Felicia Spencer and her corner during the Amanda Nunes fight. And now we're having it about Max and his corner. And I'm real tired of having this conversation. I really am. It probably enrages me more than anything in the fight game. This, unfortunately, was the highlight for me. I shouldn't say highlight because that has positive connotations, but the standout of the night for me. It wasn't the Josh Emmett fight. It wasn't the main event. It was this. It was the first fight on the prelims. And I ain't happy about it. I never am. And I do tend to go in these long winded rants about this kind of thing. But I think it's so fucked up that this is the only way I know how to express it is through a long-winded rant that probably has a lot of vulgarity and insulting language because this shit just I get triggered, Matthew, okay? I'm
Trigger
like
warning to anyone else out there like Kyle.
I'm like a college student uh that goes to a liberal university at a Trump rally. I'm very triggered, okay, when I see this kind of thing. So, just to give a little insight, he was getting his ass kicked in the fight. He says to his cornerman Robert Drysdale, "Call it." He says it probably 9 or 10 times. It's not an exaggeration. And I get I get what Robert Drysdale was doing. He was saying, "Come on, man, you got this. You got this." I get that. I get that encouragement. That's okay. But it got to the point of he doesn't need encouragement. He needs you to stop it. And he's not asking you to stop it. He's telling you to stop it. He is demanding it. He is pleading with you. There needs to be is not another word you have to hear. I guess I could see him saying call it one time and Robert Drysdale goes, "No, man, come on. You got this." After the second time, that's it. It's done. If you watch, I saw somebody posted this on Twitter. It was a video. It was in response to what happened last night. It was in response on like ESPN MMA Twitter or something like that. And it was Nate Marquardt in his corner in between rounds. I don't remember what fight it was, but he was getting battered. He gets in his corner. Trevor Whitman is his cornerman, maybe the best cornerman in MMA. Trevor Whitman is just exemplary in every fashion. The guy is brilliant. He's a great cornerman, great coach. I have nothing but good things to say about Trevor Whitman. He goes up to him and he says, "Nate, look at me. Nate, look at me." And Nate is like struggling to make eye contact with him. And in, I would say, maybe 10 seconds time of them being in the corner, Trevor Whitman says, "We're calling it. Sorry. That's it." Doesn't even hesitate. And you know what? I, I get the hesitation sometimes because you don't want to call it too early for these guys if you think they still have it in them. And the financial aspect is important to mention. You don't get your win bonus if you call it. So I get that there is also incentive to keep fighting and maybe somehow squeak out a victory and get that money, not just for yourself as the cornerman, but for your fighter. You want to see them do financially well. I understand that. But what is more important, the win and the money or health? It's not even a question. What is more important? And I, last night, I was watching the post fight press conference and I was really happy to hear Dana support Max. He was basically saying, listen, if you go out there and you get beat up and you want to be done, there's no shame in that. This is the toughest shit in the world, and it's at the UFC level. Everyone is elite. Okay, there's the elite of the elite, but to some extent, if you're in the organization, you are elite, and there really isn't any shame to saying I'm done. I don't want to do this. Like, that's okay. Anyone, and Dana said this, anyone that wants to talk shit on a person that goes and gets beat up in an octagon and then wants to be done, you go fucking do it. See how tough you are. There's no reason for any embarrassment or shame in any of that. And any corner man that doesn't understand that is unfit to be a corner man. Any corner man that doesn't see when his fighter is clearly mentally checked out of the fight is not fit to be a cornerman. Any cornerman that doesn't listen to the pleas and demands of his fighter is unfit to be a cornerman. And Dana also said in the post-fight press conference that Bob Bennett, head of the Nevada State Athletic Commission, was actually going to look into something to take some kind of action against this. I think it's perfectly okay to claim that this is a form of negligence. And if you take actions like this, I am willing to say you don't belong in a fighter's corner because you don't understand what your role is there. You don't get it. I'm not saying it's an easy job, and I'm not saying it's an easy call to make. I know, actually it is an easy call to make. It's a very easy call to make because when your fighter says I'm done, call it, you do. There's no discussion there. There's no but what if? But try this. No, there's no discussion there. It's an easy call to make. You just do it. You just listen to them. And I understand the argument. Well, they just need motivation, or the cornerman knows their fighter better than anyone. Listen, that kind of encouragement and motivational speaking, you're a fucking champ, Max, go out there and do it. Save that shit for the gym, buddy. You do that in training because right now he's in the firefight, and whatever he's saying it's not just him not wanting to try his hardest. He is trying his hardest. He's giving his all. If he says I'm done, he's done. You listen to him. There is no argument. There is no discussion about it. And you know what? it, okay, so good that the fight got stopped, but it was not stopped by the cornerman. There was a Nevada State Athletic Commission official, an inspector. I don't know the guy's name, but I see him all the time. He's at every event. He's been with NSAC for a long time. He was there in the corner and he was listening to this conversation going on. He gestures over to Mark Smith, letting him know what's happening. Mark Smith calls time. The NSAC guy goes back. Here's Max say call it. Max says it directly to him. NSAC guy tells Mark Smith. Mark Smith calls it. Great job by the athletic commission. Great job by that NSAC official, and great job by Mark Smith. Good for those guys doing their fucking duty, doing their job. Because guess what? That cornerman sure as shit did not. And it's good that this got stopped, that it didn't go into that third round, because oh boy, we'd be having a whole different conversation here if that actually went into the third round after he had said, "Call it, I'm done." I mean, that's akin to what happened with Raquel Pennington and Amanda Nunes. But it's pretty friggin' bad that the commission had to take the steps to stop it and not the cornerman. He never did it. He never gave in. And you know what? Today he is sticking by his decision to not call it, saying like he just needed some encouragement and I expect excellence from my fighters. Like I said, man, save that shit for the gym, because by that point it's your encouraging words mean jack shit. They mean nothing because he is past that. He has reached this mental state where your encouraging words don't do anything. He just needs to get out. He just needs to get out of that cage. He just needs to get out of that fight because he's being battered so much that mentally he's not in it anymore. And once he's not mentally there, physically he will not be there. It's just going to be painful for him to continue. That's it. So yeah, I talk about this so much because it, like I said, Matthew, I get triggered by
I
this.
don't
I
blame
really
you,
do.
dude. It's
I
tough.
hate to use I hate to use the modern colloquialism of triggered because I hate that word and I hate what it stands for. But I'm pretty triggered right now. I'm gonna be honest with you.
No,
I
dude,
really
I
am.
completely agree with you.
That's why I just talked for like 5 minutes straight about being upset about this because it does. It very much upsets me. And I know I said it during the Felicia Spencer when we did our podcast on Felicia Spencer and Amanda Nunes. The only way this changes is something terrible happens. That's the only. Hey, hopefully Bob Bennett and Nevada actually do something. I'm not saying they need to necessarily punish this coach. Um, just do something. You know, it I don't know, make some kind of rule or put in place some kind of like fine if these guys don't listen to their fighters, these cornermen. I don't know, but something needs to be done or something terrible is going to happen. I've said it a million times, and not just me. A lot of people are saying this, and have been saying it for some time. A lot of journalists, a lot of fans. Well, not all fans. There's a good chunk of meatheads out there that are saying, "Oh, he just needed to get his ass in gear and go back out there for the third round." Yeah, maybe you should stop watching MMA. And if you do watch it, don't talk about it. Somebody needs to take your phone away so you can't post on social media because your words are
The
toxic and
world would be better
just
off without that kind of opinion, you know.
yeah, you're just polluting the fucking fan base. Just stop it with that
Makes us
nonsense.
all look bad.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
The
it does.
coach honestly reminded me of a general in World War One that would just command his infantry to charge across no man's land and just get shot to death
Yeah,
just to have a
yeah,
slim chance of taking over that enemy trench. And
yeah.
we watch these fights every week or so, and sometimes a couple times a week. And I feel like we get a little desensitized to the punching and the kicking because I mean you see punching. How many punches do you think you see in one event? You know, you basically watch men get battered for about 5 hours every week or twice a week.
Yeah.
So I feel like we kind of get desensitized to this damage that fighters take. But I have to remind you, it still hurts to get punched in the face. It's not a pleasant
Yeah.
experience. I challenge any one of you to go outside and slap the nearest man in the face and tell him to punch you. And it hurts to be punched. Not fun. And what kind of coach are you if you're gonna go and just order this man to go and just get battered? Like that's not gonna teach you anything. That's just I I don't want to be too hard on him because it's in the heat of the moment. You're in the last round. You want this win bonus, but at the same time, you should be hard on this guy because it's that split second decision at that heated moment that is going to determine the health of your fighter. And let's be honest, he wasn't gonna win. He was completely
No.
gassed. You know, if your cardio escapes you, you literally can't do anything. You're just stuck. What did he think was gonna happen? Like he clearly saw how defeated and gassed he was. And
Yeah.
I agree with you completely. I think something horrible is gonna happen here. You know, I mean, how many other times has this coach done this to other fighters and forced them to go back in that we just haven't seen and just accepted it? Because the only reason why we saw it probably is because the fight kept going. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or the fight didn't keep going. Sorry.
I saw someone made an interesting point that was motorcycle. I saw someone make an interesting point that was along the lines of how many times does this happen and we just don't hear it because now we're in silent arenas, you know?
Yeah.
You could hear everything super clearly. How often does this kind of thing happen and we just don't hear about it?
I mean, no, I didn't even think about that. You're right. I reckon that it happens much more often than we even realize. Probably with some high class fighters
Mhm.
that we wouldn't expect to do that. But like I said, I mean, it doesn't feel good to get punched. And why should you go out and just get punched for 5 minutes? That's a long time.
Yeah.
And his opponent was having a blast. He was tired, but not anywhere near as tired as Roscoff. And I mean, he's not blind. The fighter sees this. He's like, this guy is literally fresh. He's been in a training camp for how many months? I have been doing this for 10 days. I mean, not saying, I mean, I don't know if he was in a camp or anything, but I have to imagine he wasn't.
Yeah.
So because of his performance, because I mean I believe he was undefeated in amateur MMA,
Hmm.
and like 9-0 or something like that. And he looked, from what I saw, he had no problem with cardio and even the later rounds. So it just goes to show, like, it's just not meant to be. You're not gonna get your win bonus, Mr. Coach. That's okay, because in the end, it's the guy's health that matters. It's not the money, it's the health.
Hmm.
And I think it's worth ranting about. I mean, I got kind of triggered too, but
Yeah.
yeah, good call on him for sticking with it. I feel like a lot of people would have just been like, "All right, coach, you know what's best for me. Okay, I'll go and get killed
Yeah.
now. Bye." But it's good that he stuck with it. I mean, I'd like to go back and count how many times he says, "Call it. I'm done. I'm done. I'm
I think
done.
it's
Call it."
9.
9. That's just that. You see, that's too many times. I could see, like you were saying, like if he says call it once, you're like, "Oh no no, let's just keep trying. No no, we're good. We're good. You just need some motivation." And then if you just immediately just say again, "Call it," it's probably a good idea to call it. You
He's
just gotta
pretty
cut your
solidified in
losses.
his decision. Yeah.
It's fucked up. Well, is there anything else you wanted to talk about on this
Um,
ESPN number 11 card at the UFC Apex?
Very briefly, I just wanted to say Jim Miller got an awesome submission victory. I was so happy to see that. I'm a huge Jim Miller fan. He used to follow me back on Instagram. He does not anymore, but it's okay. I get it. He used to follow a lot of people back, and now he doesn't. But it's okay. I'm not salty about it, no matter how salty I
Kyle, I'm
sound.
sensing some depression in those words there. Are you going to
No,
be
dude, I
okay?
love Jim Miller. Jim Miller is a class act. He's a legend. He's a great jiu-jitsu practitioner. Love the dude. He's been around forever. I think he's tied with Cowboy now for most UFC fights, most UFC appearances. So good for him. Good for Jim. I love. He's a good Instagram follow. He lives a very wholesome life. He's just hanging out with his family, hunting, cooking.
Makes you feel good
Good
about life when you see like
good guy.
wholesome
I
people
like
like
Jim
that.
Miller. He's
Yeah.
he's a good dude.
Yeah. But
That's
let's
all I
just talk
really
about
want
the
to say.
controversy here. There's some big freaking controversy here.
Uh
And
oh.
I don't know what to think about it. He follows you on Twitter and then he doesn't. So,
Instagram.
oh my, that's even worse. All right, let's back up. He follows you on Instagram.
He did.
Something happens.
No,
Now he
nothing
doesn't.
happened.
What did you
It
say
it.
to him?
I didn't say
Did you
anything
talk
to him.
shit on him?
No, no. So
Did you roast
I
this man?
think he used to follow a lot more people than he does now. Let me look
You're
right
gonna
now.
address the
I'm
controversy because there's a
I
lot of
I
people that are like talking about this in MMA right now. You better
let's
watch
see.
out.
Okay, he has almost 50,000 followers on Instagram and he's following back 839 people. Okay, he used to follow back like 2,000 people. I was one of those people. Um, yeah, he probably just purged his Instagram following.
I don't know. I mean,
I've done
I
it
think it's
with
personal.
much less people. I'm not a famous fighter. I don't hold it against him. It's all right. I get it.
You know what we're gonna have to do, right?
What?
We're gonna call Dana. We're gonna set this up. You're gonna teach him a lesson in the octagon.
No,
You're
I
gonna.
love Jim.
Doesn't matter, man. He wronged you in your territory.
Yeah, he
You
did.
live on Instagram.
He's screwed. he
Nah,
he really screwed
he's
me.
a good guy. I like Jim. I'm happy to see him still competing after how many years he's been in the sport. He's
Yeah,
a
he's
good
been
dude.
around for a time. He's a staple
Hey man,
in the
staples
sport.
are what keeps paper together. So very important
That
stuff.
you're absolutely right.
You know.
When you're right, Matthew, you're right.
I appreciate that, dude.
Yep.
Thank you, everyone. I don't think we have anything
we
else.
always we always end on a great note, don't we? Oh, hang on.
Oh my
This is
goodness.
ridiculous. I hate these people so much.
They're so
I just
loud.
I just want them like take your fucking bike and go away. Go to the country or some
Oh.
shit. Um yeah, we always know how to end on a really
Talking about staples, baby. Holding paper
awkward
together.
note. Very awkward note.
Hey man, it's not
But
awkward unless you make it awkward.
I'm feeling a little awkward right now.
I'm feeling excellent.
I gotta pee. my dude.
All right, and with that, he's calling it. I feel like I should stop this fighter from going out there for that third round. What if that's what he said? He said, "Call it. I have to pee."
I have to piss so bad, dude. I always think about that. I always think about what if a fighter really has to take a piss or a shit.
They must
Like,
just
what?
not drink anything. I mean,
Derek Lewis
yeah, he's been vocal
said
about
one
it.
time, like I had to shit real bad.
Yeah, you've seen fighters like shit their pants. All right, so we're gonna call it there. Thank you for listening to our garbage podcast. Live now on ESPN.com.
Yep, that's where we are. ESPN.
That's true. They hired us.
Stay tuned for Stephen A. Smith and Dominic Cruz.
That man just makes me laugh
Dude,
every time you
Dominic
say his
Cruz and Michael Bisping have zero chemistry on the mic together. Those two do not. I don't think they like each other. I really don't.
They have some sort of animosity, and I don't know where it came from.
I don't think Dom likes people.
Mike does talk about himself a lot, and I think
He does.
Dom wants to talk about himself, and I think there's just a clash there. Of like
Mike is very cocky, but he's like funny.
He's just in a funny way. He said something about his like being on top of his wife the other time. He was like not podcasting, commentating.
Did he really?
It was. I forget what he said. It was something pretty funny.
Was he referencing Brock Lesnar?
No, he was referencing someone. Like someone was like, "Yeah, he's just been on top of him the entire fight." He was like, "That's what my wife says about me."
I don't know. If
no, it wasn't that stupid. I'm giving you like a broad example of what he said.
You're spreading fake news about
dude,
Mike Bisping.
I'm gonna go back and watch the whole event.
He's gonna use his one eye to track you down.
Oh, he just whips it in the air. It just tracks me. Fuck. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Thank you, Ren.
He doesn't listen this far in.
He's our biggest fan and our only fan. Speaking of OnlyFans, we're starting an OnlyFans.
That we are. A joint account.
Us on OnlyFans. All right.
Dude, I saw a girl that we went to high school that started an OnlyFans the other day. I'm not gonna say who, but
all right, we're gonna have to have a meeting after this. A matchmaking meeting.
It's not any like you're not gonna be like, oh my god, I can't wait to subscribe. it's not that interesting, but
she's gonna listen to this and now she's gonna feel insecure. Good job.
Some female MMA fighters have been doing OnlyFans. I'm all about it. You gotta
come on, Paige.
You gotta make that extra dough. Oh my god,
Paige.
I would pay crazy amounts of money. Wouldn't feel good about myself, but I'd do it.
And with that, we're going to end it there, ladies and gentlemen. Well, no ladies or gentlemen.
No, there's no women that watch this show. They don't give a shit about us.
Thanks for giving a shit about us. You're still listening to me. I love you. Thank you. We'll be back next week when Alexander Volkov doesn't fight Max Holloway because that's the week after.
And it's not Volkov, it's actually
Volkanovski. I'm sorry. Alexander Volkov is fighting Max Holloway again, so we'll see how that works out. All right.
I'll see you later.
Goodbye.
Adios.